The Galactic Council believed it knew every kind of life in the universe. They had watched stars be born and die. They had recorded the rise and fall of thousands of civilizations. They had seen proud empires burn themselves into dust. So when they discovered humanity, they thought it was simple. Humans were noisy. Humans were emotional. Humans argued with each other more than they prepared for danger. In the great archives of the galaxy, humanity was listed as Class 3. Not dangerous, not powerful, not important. They fight among themselves, the council elders said. They waste time on art, stories, and feelings. Humans were allowed to trade small goods. They were allowed to explore nearby stars. But they were never invited to military meetings. They were never taken seriously. In the massive council chamber, filled with floating lights and alien voices, a single human stood quietly. Her name was Ambassador Alina Reyes. She was small compared to many of the beings around her. Her face showed age and tiredness, but her eyes were steady. The council was in chaos. Entire star systems near the Orion Drift had gone silent. No signals. No survivors. Planets were not destroyed. They were simply gone. The Devourers have returned, one admiral said with fear. Ancient machines that eat worlds. Even the strongest fleets trembled at that name. Thousands of warships had already been lost. Millions of lives erased in moments. The council argued loudly, blaming each other, shouting orders that no longer mattered. Through it all, Ambassador Reyes said nothing. Finally, an elder noticed her. "Why is the human here?" the elder asked. "What can your weak species offer in a war like this?" The chamber grew quiet. Reyes took a slow breath. "Humanity has been listening," she said softly. "Watching, learning." Some aliens laughed. Others ignored her. "You are too young as a species," the elder said. "You have no fleets that can stop what is coming." Reyes nodded once. "You are right," she replied. "We cannot stop them with fleets." That answer confused the chamber. Before anyone could ask more, a warning signal screamed through the hall. A Devourer scout had appeared near a border system. Live images filled the air. A moon was torn apart like dust. A planet went dark in seconds. Silence fell. Reyes looked at the image, her jaw tight. "For a long time," she said, voice low, "humanity believed the universe was kind." She raised her eyes to the council. "It is not." The human ambassador turned and began to walk away. "Where are you going?" someone demanded. She stopped at the doorway. "To wake what we built," she said. "To protect life, even those who laughed at us." Her final words echoed in the chamber. Humanity will answer. And for the first time, the galaxy felt something new. Fear not of the Devourers, but of what the quiet species might reveal next. The Devourers were coming. They moved silently, like shadows across the galaxy, devouring everything in their path. Entire moons vanished. Planets went dark. Entire civilizations disappeared before anyone could even call for help. The Council's fleets fought desperately. Thousands of warships fired at the machines. Lasers, missiles, energy beams, nothing worked. Ships exploded one by one. The screams of billions echoed across the void. Panic spread like wildfire. Worlds that had once mocked humanity now sent frantic messages. "Help us. Anything. Please save us." Back in the council chamber, Ambassador Alina Reyes stood quietly, her hands clasped in front of her. She did not panic. She did not shout. She did not try to argue. She only said, "You should evacuate your border systems. The battlefield will be large." The council members laughed. You speak as if your species can stop this, an elder sneered. You have nothing compared to our fleets. Reyes looked at them with steady eyes. You are correct, she said. We do not fight with fleets. The chamber went silent. What do you mean? An admiral asked, confused and afraid. Reyes turned and activated a star map in the middle of the room. Dozens of human-controlled systems lit up on the holographic display. Then slowly, space itself seemed to move. Gas giants shifted in their orbits. Asteroid belts aligned like weapons. Moons moved together, locking into strange formations. The council gasped. You weaponized solar systems, someone whispered. Rey's voice shook slightly, but with calm determination. We did not want to, she said. But extinction teaches faster than peace ever could. Outside the chamber, sensors picked up enormous energy surges. A human world had already activated. Its surface glowed with massive energy beams. The atmosphere vibrated with controlled power. A council officer stared at the screen. They are planets, he whispered. They're becoming weapons. Yes, Reyes said softly. They are weapons of survival. Her eyes reflected the images on the screen, worlds rising, planets transforming into unstoppable fortresses. She remembered the cost. Humanity had built these for centuries in secret. They had sacrificed comfort, homes, and even lives. They had endured wars, famine, and failure. And now those sacrifices were ready. The council trembled. The devourers, once confident, had no idea what waited for them. They had faced countless species before. They had never faced a race that could turn entire planets into war machines. And humanity was ready. Reyes turned toward the council one last time. The galaxy believes we are weak, she said, voice firm. They are wrong, and soon they will learn. In that moment, fear passed through the chamber, not fear of the devourers, but fear of the quiet, patient, unstoppable species they had ignored for so long. Humanity was about to change the rules of the universe. The devourers advanced, confident and merciless. They had consumed galaxies before. They had destroyed civilizations without a second thought. To them, humans were just another small species, easy prey. But then space began to bend. A gas giant shifted in its orbit, its thick clouds peeling back to reveal hidden armor beneath. Moons separated from their planets, then came together, forming enormous rings that glowed with energy. Asteroids aligned in precise patterns, forming barriers and weapons larger than anything the Council had ever seen. Sensors on Council ships went mad. Impossible, technicians whispered. These are not ships, they are planets. Ambassador Elena Reyes watched silently from her command center. She had seen this before, in simulations, in plans built over decades. But seeing it in reality still made her heart pound. The Devourers approached the first human system. They moved like unstoppable shadows, expecting easy victory. Then the first beam fired. It was not a laser, not a missile. It was the concentrated energy of an entire planet, focused into a single, unimaginable strike. The Devourer flagship did not explode. It was erased. Silence spread across the battlefield. Council admirals gasped. This is impossible, one said. How can a planet fight? Reyes did not answer. She didn't need to. The answer was written in the destruction behind her. Another system activated. Another planet rose like a giant. Its surface crackled with energy. Its oceans glowed with protective shields. The Devourers hesitated. For the first time in millennia, they paused. Human commanders transmitted calmly to the Council. Planet-scale warship Aegis 1 online, one message said. Then another. And another. Each planet was a fortress, each moon a weapon, every asteroid a missile. The Devourers had no plan. No strategy could match the ingenuity of a species that had survived extinction again and again. Elena Reyes felt a mix of pride and sorrow. She thought of the generations of humans who had worked silently for centuries to prepare this moment. The lives lost, the cities abandoned, the sacrifices made to turn planets into weapons of survival. And now all that suffering had a purpose. The Devourers were intelligent, they adapted quickly. But they had never faced patience like human patience. Never faced endurance built over centuries. Never faced a species that could make life itself a weapon. From the command bridge, Reyes whispered almost to herself. This is why we survived. This is why we endured. The council watched in awe. The galaxy, for the first time, realized that humans were not fragile. Not weak. Not small. They were something else entirely. They were the kind of species the universe had underestimated at its own risk. And the battle for survival for the entire galaxy had only just begun. The battle had begun, but victory did not come without cost. Even as planets moved and weapons fired, humanity felt the weight of centuries of sacrifice. In the command centers, officers monitored the damage. Worlds built over hundreds of years trembled as their defenses activated. Cities had been replaced by foundries and fortresses. Forests had been cleared. Oceans had been mined. And still the Devourers advanced. One massive armada struck a human world head-on. The planet's shields held for hours, pushing back impossible energy. But the Devourers adapted. They burrowed into the planet's crust. They sought to destroy it from within. A human commander watched the live feeds, hands shaking. He saw towns, long abandoned for the defense of the planet, crumble. He saw the energy shields flicker. He saw the sacrifices of generations burn in seconds. "Do we pull back?" he asked, his voice trembling. "No," another replied firmly. "Every second we fight saves lives elsewhere." Above the chaos, Ambassador Elena Reyes stood quietly, remembering why this had been done. She thought of her great-grandparents, who had survived wars, plagues, and famine. She thought of the scientists who had worked in silence for decades, building the foundations of planet-scale defenses. She thought of every life lost, every city turned into steel and energy. "We do not fight because we want war," she whispered to herself. "We fight because we love life." The Devourers pushed harder, breaking through shields. One planet, a beautiful world once full of forests and oceans, was on the brink of destruction. The human defenders made a hard choice. They triggered the planet's core as a weapon, sacrificing it to destroy the incoming armada. The explosion was blinding. It tore through space like a new star being born. Millions of Devourer machines were destroyed in an instant. But the cost was immense. Humanity had given up one of its greatest worlds. Billions of tons of carefully built defenses were gone. Generations of planning gone. In the aftermath, human officers floated in silence, mourning their own creation. They did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They wept quietly for the worlds they had lost and the lives they had spared. Reyes watched the sensors, tears in her eyes. She knew this was only the beginning. More sacrifices would follow. More worlds would have to rise or fall. But she also knew something else. Humanity did not fight to dominate. They fought to protect. They fought not because they were strong, but because they refused to let life vanish without a fight. And every sacrifice, every burned world, only made the galaxy understand one truth. Humans were not weak. They were not careless. They were patient, enduring, and relentless. And in that patience, the devourers were beginning to see something terrifying. A species that could turn entire planets into weapons would not stop until it survived. And if the universe tried to destroy humanity, it would fight back with everything it had. The devourers had never faced a species like humanity before. They adapted quickly. They changed strategies. They attacked with relentless precision, determined to crush the human planets one by one. Entire fleets of devourer machines swarmed the systems. They burrowed into crusts, struck from below, and lashed out from orbit. No human city, no fortress, no weapon was safe. The human commanders were calm, but their faces showed exhaustion. They had trained for this, planned for this, but even the best-laid strategies came at a cost. One planet, once a thriving hub of millions of lives, was nearly lost. Shields flickered under the onslaught. Explosions rocked the surface. The planet itself groaned as energy flowed through its core, channeled into massive defensive strikes. A human officer floated in the observation deck, hands trembling. "This planet, we might lose it," he whispered. "Then we make the loss count," replied another. "We save others with it." The humans made decisions that broke their hearts. Planets were detonated to destroy armadas. Moons were sacrificed to protect colonies. Billions of tons of metal, years of labor, vanished in moments. And yet, even as destruction raged, humanity did not falter. They mourned. They remembered. They fought harder. Elena Reyes watched the battles unfold from her command station. She had seen the cost of survival, the worlds lost, the lives erased, the cities turned to dust. Her chest ached, but her resolve did not falter. "These are not just machines," she said softly. "They are death made real, but we are life made strong." The devourers began to break under the weight of the human defenses. A planet that had been struck from within fired a massive gravity pulse, crushing hundreds of devourer machines in a single instant. Another world unleashed its energy rings, slicing through armadas like blades through silk. Slowly, inch by inch, humanity began to turn the tide. The devourers, once confident, began to retreat in small groups, reorganizing for another strike. And yet the human victories were silent. No celebrations. No cheers. Every destroyed enemy meant another cost paid. Every saved world was the result of unimaginable sacrifice. Reyes remembered the lesson humanity had learned long ago. To survive, they must endure. To protect life, they must sacrifice. To fight darkness, they must be willing to carry pain and loss. And so the humans continued. Not because they wanted glory. Not because they wanted revenge. But because life, fragile and fleeting, was worth every sacrifice. The galaxy watched in awe. For the first time, even the Council realized the truth. These humans were not just another species. They were patient, relentless, and unbreakable. And the devourers, ancient and unstoppable, were beginning to understand something terrifying. They had underestimated humanity. And in that understanding, the balance of the galaxy began to shift. At the edge of the galaxy, the Devourer core appeared. It was enormous, larger than a star, pulsing with destructive energy. Its machines swarmed like ants, consuming everything in their path. The Council believed the battle was ending, that humanity's defenses, as brilliant as they were, would finally fail. But humanity had one final secret. A calm signal echoed through the galaxy. "This is Earth." The Council froze. Earth had been silent for centuries. Its defenses had never been seen beyond its system. Now, in a single moment, it spoke, not with words but with power. The planet rose, not like a blue world floating in space, but as something transformed. Layers of energy shields surrounded it. Orbiting rings of weaponized satellites formed perfect defensive patterns. Star forges lit up its surface, releasing beams of unimaginable power. Sensors on the Council ships could barely process it. One admiral whispered, "It's alive." The Devourers did not pause. They surged forward, confident that nothing could stop them. Then Earth fired. The first shot was not a laser, not a missile. It was the concentrated strength of a world, focused into a single strike. The Devourer core trembled. Machines collapsed. Energy waves tore through armadas, erasing centuries of destruction in seconds. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. Humanity had taken what they had built in secret, every world, every weapon, every sacrifice, and now Earth itself was the ultimate warship. Ambassador Alina Reyes stood at the command console, tears streaming down her face. She thought of the lives lost to build this. She thought of the generations who had worked quietly, who had given up everything, so that life could survive. And now that sacrifice shone brighter than any star. The Devourer core struggled to move. Its endless machines tried to strike back. But every attack met resistance, energy shields, gravitational pulses, orbital strikes. The ancient machines realized, too late, that they had underestimated humanity. The Council finally understood. These were not fragile, emotional creatures. These were survivors. They were patient, relentless, and unbreakable. Earth itself crushed the core, bending gravity, energy, and matter until the Devourer's heart collapsed inward. A silence fell over the battlefield. For the first time in millennia, the Devourers were gone. The galaxy exhaled. No one cheered. No one celebrated. Humanity had not fought for glory. They had fought to protect life. Every world destroyed in defense had been a choice made with love. Every planet weaponized, every moon sacrificed, had been done so that others could live. And in that moment, the Council and all species of the galaxy realized one truth. Humanity was unlike anything they had ever faced. Not because they were strongest, not because they were fastest, but because when pushed to the edge, they did not break. They endured. They survived. And they protected everything they loved, no matter the cost. The battle was over. The Devourers, ancient and unstoppable, were gone. The galaxy had survived barely, but humanity stood unbroken. The Council gathered once more, this time in silence. No words of pride. No arguments. Just awe. Ambassador Alina Reyes spoke softly, her voice carrying through the chamber. "We did not fight for power," she said. "We fought for life. Every world we lost, every life we sacrificed, it was so that the universe could continue." For the first time, the galaxy understood what humanity truly was. The elders of the Council adjusted their records. Humans were no longer Class 3. They were no longer just a species. They became something new, Class 0. Not because of strength, not because of technology, but because humanity had shown the universe a truth no one else had learned. Kindness does not mean weakness. Patience does not mean ignorance. Silence does not mean submission. Planets that had once been ignored, dismissed, and underestimated had become weapons of survival. Planets that had been sacrificed had saved millions of lives. Earth itself had become the ultimate warship, not for conquest but for protection. In the quiet of space, the galaxy began to change. The Council began to listen when humanity spoke. Other species began to value life as humanity did. The lesson was clear: underestimate humans and you risk annihilation. Alina Reyes looked at the stars beyond the chamber's walls. She thought of the generations who had lived and died in preparation for this moment. She thought of the billions who had sacrificed everything to protect life. And she smiled quietly, humbly. For humanity had not fought to dominate the galaxy. They had fought because they could not stand by and watch life vanish. They had fought because they believed, even when hope seemed impossible, that survival was worth every cost. Across the stars, messages began to flow. Gratitude, fear, respect. Every species that had once mocked humanity now knew one truth. The quiet species had awoken. The species no one believed in had revealed their true strength. And from that day forward, the universe remembered. When humanity stands between darkness and life, the darkness stops. When humanity rises, even the oldest threats tremble. And when humanity fights, it fights with patience, courage, and love, a power older than fear, stronger than death, and impossible to destroy. The galaxy would never forget. The quiet species, the underestimated species, the survivors, humanity, had revealed the impossible. They had turned hope into action. They had turned sacrifice into survival. And they had shown the universe what it truly meant to endure. And in the endless stars, the simple truth spread like light. Never mistake kindness for weakness. Never mistake silence for ignorance. Never forget the day humanity revealed planet-scale warships, and the galaxy stood in awe.